location is at Schroeder Park, 2600 South 13th Avenue. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely.
Present.
Trustee Tierney.
Present.
Trustee Jones is absent. Mayor Thompson.
Here.
Trustee Horn.
Here.
Trustees Abraham and Brown Marino are absent. May we have a quorum? Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? May we all pause for a moment of silence? Thank you. Next on the agenda is item 2, public comments. The Village of Broadview encourages citizen input. Those wishing to address the village board in their public comments must fill out the attached speaker request form and submit it to the village clerk prior to the start of the board meeting. The president will then call your name at the appropriate time. When addressing the village board, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. When the president recognizes you, please state your name and address for the record and speak loud. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated. Also, if you have mobile devices or phones, can you please silence them at this time out of respect for the meeting? Madam President, sorry, I have just one public comment here.
Ms. Tiffany Ingram Comer. Go ahead. Are you on?
Hi, good evening. Mayor, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to provide public comment. My full name is Tiffany Ingram. I am the External Affairs Manager for ComEd.
Thank you.
Keep going, they'll adjust it.
They can hear us.
Excuse me. Is it
Can't-
working?
No. No. They're gonna raise it.
Okay, now, Tiffany.
Hello? Oh, that's
There
good.
you go.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Ingram. I'm the External Affairs Manager for ComEd. I have the pleasure of being able to serve the Broadview community. And I'm here for the reason of encouraging Broadview residents to take advantage of our energy efficiency programs. You have a great mayor here that's really concerned about her residents, making sure they're getting the advantages that ComEd has to offer. So first, before I start, I want to share with you the type of free energy efficiency kit that folks can get. And I can pass this around. But basically, this kit has light bulbs. This kit has smart power strips. This kit has new fixtures for your faucet and some other goodies like little plug-in lights for night lights. And these kits are free. They're given by some of our delegate agencies, by some churches. So we hope folks take advantage of it. But in addition to this, we want to make sure, But in addition to that, we want to make sure people are taking advantage of our energy efficiency programs. We have millions of dollars to spend on energy efficiency, and we want to make sure every single resident in the Broadview community takes advantage of that. It make huge savings, and so I'm just here to urge and encourage everyone to take advantage of the residential energy efficiency programs. We don't just do residential, we also do facility assessments, we also do schools, public sector, you name it. But the everyday residents of Broadview can really stand to advantage if they do so, and we make it very easy for them to sign up, and we do the rest. And so that's my pitch for you today. I placed some items on your desk to show you our different programs, not only for residences, but for also public sector, and also items as it relates to our comm education care programs. The other thing that FEJA had allowed us to do, which was legislation that was passed almost 2 years ago, that enabled us to increase our energy efficiency programs, but it also has enabled us to increase our ComEd care dollars. And so there are a lot of people who are familiar with LIHEAP. LIHEAP administers dollars to help people get support so they don't have an interruption in their service. But LIHEAP also administers ComEd grants in addition to LIHEAP dollars. So there's LIHEAP ComEd grants, and if you happen to be a veteran, we have a CHAMP program where veterans can take advantage of all 3 programs. So it's great programs that are here. We're at the beginning of the year. People should take advantage of these programs. I will be speaking throughout the area. If there's any interest in having me come to speak, to address no matter how small or large the crowd, to encourage people to take advantage, because we find that when people that invite you to take advantage of these programs, then there's a trust factor that develops, because it's hard for some people to bring a stranger into their home. But if it has, the support of organizations, faith-based communities, nonprofits, then we find that we get much more participation. So thank you so much during the evening. I'll be staying throughout the meeting. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 3, communications. I have a couple things here. These also are up here for you to take one with you. I'll also make these available through the clerk's office via email for those who are watching through live streaming. You can email the clerk's office at kmcgreer@broadview-il.gov, and I can get these right over to you via email. The first one is Construction, Manufacturing, and Logistics Job Fair, February 8th at 10 a.m. They'll have over 20 employers there. You must bring your resumes, and they ask for 10 resumes. This is going to be at the American Job Center located at 7222 West Cermak Road on the 3rd floor in North Riverside. There is free parking. This will be, again, Friday, February 8th at 10 a.m. Next is the IDES, Illinois Department of Employment Security. Attention, job seekers. They have a bilingual medical scheduler, and this is a certified medical administrative assistant position open, and then there's a lot of details here. You can read that when you pick this up. This is Wednesday, February 6, 2019, from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., and this is located over at the Burbank, Illinois Department of Employment Security, 5608 West 75th Place in Burbank, Illinois. Again, bring your job resume. And Mayor, that concludes item 3, communications. Please let the record reflect that at 7:37, Trustee Jones arrived to the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we have item 4, presentations. We'll have a swearing in of Commissioner Gwen Turner, if you will. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Guinevere Turner,
I, Guinevere Turner,
having been appointed to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners
having been appointed to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners
in the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois,
in the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
of the United States, Constitution of the State of Illinois,
I kind of threw her off, and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners
of the Board of the Fire and Police Commissioners
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Now, give everybody your email and your phone number. They can call you like you called him.
Okay, next on the agenda. Next on the agenda, we have a presentation for senior housing by Ross Financial. Do we have representatives from Ross here? Your podium is yours, sir.
Good evening, Board, Mayor. My name is Jim Weglars. I'm with Ross Financial Services. As I believe this project has been presented here before, but to give you a brief overview, we are the developer for the project. We went through a selection process with Mr. Upshaw, Commissioner Upshaw, and the Mayor to build this project, which we understand is a very important project for the community. It is 70 apartment buildings for independent elderly from Broadview and the surrounding area. It's a 3-story building, as you can see the rendering to my left. It'll be a lovely structure. We're on 17th and Fillmore. The land is currently owned by the village. They have purchased the land and they will donate eventually the property to the project so we can build this wonderful piece of wonderful building here. The process is a little bit lengthy for these projects as this is an affordable housing project. So we are going through the low-income housing tax credit. The tax credit is a federal resource that is allocated through the states through allocating agencies like the Illinois Housing Development Authority. And that is the agency we will be applying to hopefully next week. That process takes place once a year. The state gets approximately 22 million credits to allocate throughout the entire state. Typically speaking, they select between 15 and 20 projects a year to cover the entire state. On average, they get between 60 and 75 applications a year, which means it's about a 25 to 33% chance of selection. In order to get the credits, they have a competitive scoring system. The competitive scoring system outlines several areas such as energy efficiency, green features. We will be we applied for a ComEd grant, so there's the energy efficiency. They're also looking at what support you have from the community, if you're leveraging other resources from other agencies, like we are going to through the Cook County Home Program, whether you're going to bring other elements to the project, such as accessibility and universal design is what we call it, as well as the site itself. Is it situated in an area that has accessible to amenities such as grocery stores, doctor's offices, parks, and libraries? So we believe this is a very strong project in that system. It should score well in the IDA system, and that's why we pursued it with the village. We think that was a great partnership. Our organization ourselves, we manage over 2,200 affordable units throughout Illinois. We have also a project in South Carolina and California. We actually are building a project that's not allocated for seniors. It's family housing, but it's going to be in the city of Chicago. That's a 54-unit building that's under construction right now. We self-manage as an organization, so we believe that our operational excellence makes us a great partner for the village and for this project. We also will be partnering with a nonprofit agency to provide services for the seniors, which is an important element to the project. Other than that, the project, I'll tell you the timeline. If we are able to get the application in next week, IDA will make their selections in approximately May, hopefully. Sometimes they take their time. Once they allocate the resources to the development, it would take between 6 and 8 months to close the transaction to begin construction. So if we're lucky, it'll be fourth quarter this year, otherwise first quarter next year, where we do construction. And then approximately 13 months of construction to build, and then we would lease up after that, have it up and running in approximately 2 years, maybe 2.5 from now. I'm not sure if there's any questions.
So, trustee Ely,
No, I'll listen to others, but thank you.
Okay.
trustee Tierney,
No, no questions.
trustee Jones,
I have no questions.
trustee Horn.
I just have just a question, just for clarification.
Mhm.
I noticed that there were 3 roles listed in the lease agreement, and I just want to make sure I understand the roles and what they're responsible for. So I know
Okay.
who the developer is, that would be you. But within the agreement, it has qualified nonprofit affordable housing sponsor. Is this person giving money? Because they're also known as the donee.
Yeah, so the way it works is because the project is, the land is going to be donated in some fashion, it generates a credit, another credit, actually a tax credit from the state. Illinois has an affordable housing tax credit by itself that is generated from donations. It could be a cash donation, it could be services in kind. In this case, it's the land. The way you make it eligible for that is that transfers goes to a nonprofit, and that's why we have a nonprofit in the ownership. So the land that the village would be donating goes technically to the nonprofit, and they put in that as a capital contribution to the partnership, and that way we can get those tax credits flowing in, which is actually going to bring money from a private company that'll invest in the credits directly into the project. Estimated about $400,000 for this deal.
Okay, thank you. That's it for right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Clerk?
Okay, thank you. The next item is item 5, consideration to approve the following minutes. Minutes from the January 16th, 2019 regular board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
That was motion by trustee Tierney, seconded by trustee Horn. Madam President?
Trustee Ely,
No comments.
trustee Tierney,
No comment.
trustee Jones,
No comment.
trustee Horn.
Nothing.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Roll call, trustee Ely,
Abstain.
trustee Tierney,
Yes.
trustee Jones,
Aye.
trustee Horn.
Yes.
Madam President, that passes 4-0. Next item on the agenda, item 6, consideration to approve expenditures. Grand total of all funds, $103,258.59.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Was that seconded by Jones?
No, trustee Tierney.
Okay, sorry about that. It was motion by trustee Horn, seconded by trustee Tierney. Madam President?
In the absence of the finance chair, trustee Abraham, trustee Tierney, will you please read the warrant list?
Yes. Artistic holiday design, $3,882.30. AT&T, $4,968.09. Delgado Law Firm, Law Group LLC, $21,656.57. FGM Architects, $14,830. JJ Effects, $6,608.07. Lauderback and Amon LLP, $2,600. Lincoln National Life Insurance Company, $7,961.74. Timothy J. Hicks, CPA, $5,000. West Cook County Solid Waste Agency, $15,325.08. Total expenditures over $2,500 is $82,831.85. Total expenditures, $103,258.59, for a percent of the total of 80%. That concludes my report, Madam
Thank
President.
you. Trustee Ely, you have any questions or comments?
No.
Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
No.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely,
Yes.
trustee Tierney,
Yes.
trustee Jones.
No.
You say no?
No.
Trustee Horn
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Passes 4-1. Next item, item 7, committee reports. These are given at every first board meeting of the month. First, we have street sidewalks and alleys. Trustee Horn.
Hi, everybody. On February 25th at 7 p.m., there will be a street sidewalks and alleys meeting, and I would like for everybody to make sure that you attend, tell everyone to come, because we're going to be talking about some things that I think you'll find interesting. That's it. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Next item is Finance Committee. Trustee Abraham is absent. Mayor Thompson, do you have anyone in her stead that may want to give a report?
She didn't communicate anything with me, did she, with the finance team?
I talked to her, she wanted to make a note that the Finance Committee will be this Wednesday at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay,
The
thank you,
agenda's
trustee.
been posted,
What is that?
yes.
Thank you. All right, next item is
Six.
Business License Committee. Trustee Ely?
I have no report.
Thank you, sir. Next item is Fire, Police, and Civil Service. Trustee Tierney?
I have no report at this time.
Thank you, sir. And Madam President, Water, Drainage, and Health, and Building and Public Property, both are vacant at this time. Do you have anything for that?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Next item is item 8, old business. We have none. Item 9, new business. A resolution authorizing and approving an agreement with Edwin Hancock Engineering Company for the furnishing of professional design and construction engineering services related to the 2019 MWRD Green Infrastructure Alley Program for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Horn, seconded by Trustee Tierney.
Bless
Madam
you.
President?
Bless you. Trustee Ely?
I defer to Chris from Hancock Engineering to explain to all what we're being asked to vote on.
Good evening.
Good
So this
evening.
is, last meeting, you guys approved the intergovernmental agreement with the MWRD. They provided 70% funds for the design and construction of 3 green alleys between 21st and 20th, 20th and 19th, and 19th and 18th, south of Fillmore. It's the north-south portion. This is just to do the design and construction engineering for those projects.
Thank you.
Will be built this year. That's the plan.
Oh, good.
Anything else, Trustee Ely?
No.
Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
I have no comment.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing. I'll talk to you on the 25th.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Madam President, this carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Next item is B, an ordinance of the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois, granting a special use to allow a senior housing use in the village's C1 Roosevelt Road Commercial District, 2111 South 17th Avenue.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Tierney, seconded by Trustee Horn. Madam President?
Thank you. The purpose of this resolution is to, wait a minute, I'm looking at the wrong thing. The purpose of this resolution is to approve the special use to allow the senior housing within the village of Broadview, Section C1, Roosevelt Road Commercial District. Trustee Ely?
No comments.
Trustee Tierney?
I have no comment.
Trustee Jones?
No comment.
Excuse me, Trustee Horn?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Madam President, this carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item C, a resolution approving a land donation agreement for purposes of facilitating the construction of an affordable housing development for seniors and for veterans for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Move to table.
Well, because of the time and essence for the application is due, we have to submit to IDA by Thursday, this part of the agreement. So to table it right now would not put us in position to even entertain the conversation as it relates to the donation of the land. So what I'm asking is for it to go for discussion.
Well, I would look forward to discussion, but there's a couple of problems wrong with it. About state law requires that this be put in the form of an ordinance. This is a resolution, and in order to
So
pass
let's
it,
have a discussion. No,
please
but you
let me
have a
finish.
discussion.
Huh?
You either want to have the discussion, you explain it, so
I
need
make
to
a
have
motion to table.
Excuse me,
discuss.
Madam President, I don't mean to step up, but we don't even have a second for this yet. So without a motion and a second, we should not be discussing it.
Exactly.
So do I have a second? For fail of a second, Madam President, I'll entertain another motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Tierney, seconded by Trustee Horn. Madam President, open for discussion now.
Trustee Ely.
Well, as I stated earlier, this is in the form of a resolution. State law requires that it be in the form of an ordinance. And we'll need a supermajority, and we don't have enough trustees here to do it.
Attorneys?
That's part of it.
That's,
Okay, so you want to go through the whole script, or you want us to address it as you go through your concerns.
Well, I was just stating facts. They weren't just concerned, they were facts.
So-
And you have an attorney right there that can verify.
Mr. Ingerson is the one that's working on this, so that would be
Okay.
the best one to address your concern.
Trustee Lee, I don't think there's any requirement that it be in an ordinance.
Well, according to the handbook, it is.
Well, I'm not sure what you're referring to, Trustee. I mean, it's a ground lease agreement, and this is basically for inclusion in the packet that's going to be filed with the IH with IDA.
Well, it's a little bit more than that. We're conveying real estate property to others, and that would fall under state law.
Trustee,
we have to follow those rules.
The conveyance actually isn't taking place. Basically, for purposes, as Jim explained, and I thought he did a nice job doing so, basically, this is a donation and land ground lease agreement. And what this does is it accomplishes two things. The first is that it establishes site control for Ross Financial so they can include the agreement in the packet that they file for the tax credits. The donation aspect of it is, the IDA funding, if we get it, would fund about 80% of the project. So there's going to be a 20% gap. In order to get to make up that difference, we are going to apply to the state of Illinois, and that's where the donation aspect comes. And by donating the property, then we can make up that 20% gap between the IDA and to complete the project. So, but if you review the agreement itself, it's basically, it's an agreement to reach an agreement at a later date. And we're not actually going to convey the property. The village is it's going to be a 99-year lease, which is the limit that the municipal code places on the village to enter into agreements like that. But even if it wasn't going to be a lease, there's still going to be a subsequent agreement that the parties are going to enter into. So the final agreement would have to come back before the board before any action would be taken. So this is really just the first step to allow us to complete the application, to file it, and then in the event that we do get the tax credits, then there's going to be a more in-depth negotiation between the village, whoever Ross partners with, and Ross on what the terms of the lease will be. But the actual conveyance isn't going to take place unless we get the tax credits. So this agreement itself, it's calling it a donation, but the conveyance wouldn't take place until well after this. So this agreement really, it's an agreement to make an agreement. So no, a resolution passing it would be fine.
I disagree. But some of the things that the agreement called for, the vacating of a village street, and were you aware that we got an agreement several days ago from the clerk with, and we got another one tonight.
Right.
So really, I don't think anybody's really had time to read and digest the one we just received tonight. That's sort of a late hour, but I still, despite everything you said, I still see conveying of property from the village to another source. And vacating of the street, that requires some thought and some conversation before we can do that. We have to answer to all these people in the audience. We can't just do that. But I have no further comments or questions. Thank you.
But yeah, and again, I just want to stress though that the conveyance is not taking place with this agreement. And if you have any questions about the changes between the agreement you got last week and the one tonight, I'd be happy to walk you through them if that would help.
Well, I was pretty much complaining about the timing.
I understand.
I walk in tonight, I get a different agreement, and I've read and researched and gone to the dictionary and state law with one agreement, then I walk in tonight, I get another one. So I'm just complaining about the timing.
I understand.
But that may not have been on you.
We're on a little bit of a compressed time schedule. The deadline to file the application is February 15th. And yeah, I mean, the agreement did change, but really, I mean, the substantive change was converting it from a donation to a lease agreement. But again, even the agreement you got last week, the conveyance wouldn't occur until the tax credits came through, and there would have been there's going to be another agreement in the event that we do the application is successful. And again, as Jim pointed out, like 25 to 33% success rate. Hopefully that we will be successful, but we didn't want to take the time. I mean, because the type, like the lease agreement that's going to be negotiated here is going to be, it's going to be long. There's a lot of terms to it. We didn't want to spend the village money doing that work in the event that it's all for nothing. So again, but your point's well taken. That to convey property requires an ordinance, but again, the conveyance isn't taking place with this agreement, so it would be okay for the board to.
Well, above and beyond just that, I have knowledge that the village has invested close to $2 million into that property, and that's the taxpayers' property, so I can't make a hasty decision about $2 million of the taxpayers' money, so kind of a short notice, but I'm done.
No, I'm sorry, can you repeat the last statement? I didn't hear it.
I beg your pardon?
I didn't hear your last statement. Can you repeat it?
I said that the village has invested close to $2 million into that property, and we should not be making hasty decisions.
Okay. Thank you, Trustee Tierney.
No, I'll defer my comments to Trustee Jones. I know he's been working on this for a long time. He knows more about it than I do.
Trustee Jones?
Listen, a few things. First of all, I'd like the attorney to explain why the language in the on our agenda tonight says donation, and you also referred to a ground lease, and would you explain what exactly it means to everybody? And then I'll talk to everybody else about what had happened prior to this. But I know that you got, I know I've got this, but I want him to say it out loud for everybody to hear.
Okay, so Jim touched on it briefly in his presentation. It's called the donation agreement because in order to make up the gap between the IDA funding, again, it's only going to be 80%. We can apply to the state to get what'll be, I think it'll be estimated around $400,000 to complete the project. In order to do that, a property needs to be donated. So the village would be donating the property. It's about site control. We need to demonstrate to IDA. We need to demonstrate to the state of Illinois that Ross, the people that are spearheading this project, have control over the site. So it's called a donation agreement, but in effect, the village would still they're donating a 99-year leasehold of the property.
And speak to the ground lease aspect of it.
So the ground lease is it'll be for a nominal amount of money. 99 years. The municipal code limits the length of the agreements to 99 years. So that would be it'll be a 99-year lease for a nominal amount of money. And again, the village would still hold title to the property. They just the lessee will be a tenant, and for lack of a better word.
Okay, so basically we'll be leasing it for 99 years for a nominal amount. Let me give everybody a little bit of history for those of you that don't know the history of this. On the site used to be Broadview Baptist Church, which is now on 25th Avenue. Next to it was a parking lot. In the building adjacent to what is now a vacant lot used to be a laundromat, and then it became a hairdressing salon. It was a laundromat. To the north of it is Edmark Printing. To the north of Edmark Printing and north of Fillmore was a residential house that the village acquired and ultimately demolished. The village paid just under $1 million for the church. We paid approximately $100,000 to knock it down, clear the area, eliminate all the concrete, and then we maintained the property. We also spent money to purchase the beauty salon, which is the building right next to the doctor's office and the post office, for those of you that are not aware. And then we just recently purchased Edmark Printing, and we had already owned the vacant lot, which was the house that we purchased that was in disrepair. The total of those expenditures, not to be exact on the dollar amount, is roughly about $1.75 million. That's what we totally spent on the property of taxpayer money. When the property was purchased, the first property was purchased, and I'm just giving you guys a little bit of history here. They bought the church because they didn't want another church there. They did not want another non-for-profit. on there, not on the tax rolls. They wanted to get control of the site so that they could put something on there so that they could get taxes. The senior citizen development came up prior to Mayor Thompson, let's put it that way. We went through the same process, very similar process. It's my understanding that some of the rules have changed. What happened when we went through the process, we had a developer, we dotted all our I's, crossed all our T's. We just didn't make quite enough points. We were like 8 points short of qualifying. So we did not make the points. There were some things that we went back and looked at and we added on, and we got the senior bus in place and some other stuff. We did some things to augment the ability for us to gain points. Now, I don't know exactly what the changes are. The attorney could probably speak to that, or the developers could probably speak to the changes in the application process and what the point system is now. But what we have here in front of us, to the attorney's point, if in fact it's not the conveyance of the real estate and all it is giving site control to the potential developer to make a presentation, to get the tax credits, to do all the things that are necessary to actually get the development started. This is the same place we were in 4 years ago, Dave, 5 years ago, something like that. Matter of fact, it was the year before the change in the governorship in the state took place. I can tell you exactly what it was. Because at the time that the governor took place, everything went to a standstill at the state. That's what happened. They couldn't get a budget done, tax credits, and a lot of the other things as related to the state were frozen, and so nothing ended up happening, and we were stuck. And that's where we are today, and that's why we're here now. I don't have any further questions other than to make sure that I understand it. This is merely to give them site control so that they can go through the application process, get it to the state, and something else. Dave, do you have something to add, please, sir?
Trustee Jones, that's exactly correct. The other thing I wanted to remind people of, and just to add, is that this project has been about 8 years, and we've gotten about close to 8 years, and we've gotten this close. It's going to take us another 2.5 years, as Jim alluded. So we have to get the application in. We've got to get into the system in order to get the money to build the senior housing. As it relates to points, as Trustee Jones alluded, 70 is the score, the desired score that you want. And Jim, I don't want to, if I misspeak or something, please. 70 is the score. And one of the issues, or one of the concerns, or one of the requirements, I should say, is site control. So if all of you own the property, the village does not have site control, you get dinged on that, or you don't get points for that. But if you have site control, then you get points for that. And we're trying to get as close to 70 or more.
What's the point value attached to that? So it's mandatory, but it doesn't have a point value? So it doesn't have a point value. Okay. No site value, no application. Got that. That's pretty much it for now. If something else comes up, I'll let you know, ma'am.
Okay, Trustee Horn?
I'll just make the argument that we do have the lease agreement. I read through it. I don't think it's a hasty decision, and I'll just keep it real simple. The term investment was used. I want to make the argument that if we don't move on the property, it's simply money spent, and you don't have a reasonable expectation to get any return. So it would just be money spent if we don't move on it and do something with the property. If the village purchased the property and we do nothing with it, you as a taxpayer spent money and can't expect anything from it. No value whatsoever. It's a standing property. So it's important that we move on it with the expectation that we get some return on a property that is adding value to the community. I mean, I would just make the argument we can't even use investment if we don't do anything with it. It's just money spent.
What lease agreement were you referring to?
It's right here in front of us.
You got it in your package, Trustee. May I follow up?
Go ahead. That was it?
With the non-for-profit being attached to this, does it have an impact on property taxes for the location?
Can you come to the mic?
Let the people that know their work speak.
Yeah, they the experts.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Because I just want to make sure
No,
that...
it has no...
Doug, can you tell them who you are?
I'm Douglas Ross. I'm president of Ross Financial. And the question to whether it would affect the real estate or property taxes, we will, I don't know, Cook County doesn't have any like class 9 or whatever. But there's no abatement or reduction in property taxes, even with a non-for-profit partner. They'd have to be basically a religious organization. The whole building would have to be 100% religious, or a housing authority, or owned by the village, or something like that.
So the improvements on the property, whatever it is that you guys decide to build there, will generate increment at that location?
Yes, absolutely.
Significant increment?
Significant money. We get value.
To the trustee to my left's point, one thing that she did not know is there were offers on the property prior to this. This is not the first offer. It's just that
When you say offer, what do you mean?
people tried to purchase the property, but we knew we wanted to put the senior housing somewhere. So we had an opportunity to actually sell the property and with some previous opportunities when we actually listed all the vacant lots for sale in the town. So we did have an opportunity to recoup some money. The thing that I was concerned about was not being able to get taxes if in fact it was a non-for-profit, because then, to your point, we would have spent $1.75 million for nothing and got nothing in return.
Can I say this?
Go ahead. I'm just, I'm just trying to clear up the non-for-profit issue.
Okay, right. So let me, as it relates to the project, when you brought the senior housing initially into where we are now as it relates to the nonprofit and the developer. So IDA have a criteria that's changed, and they change the rules every year as how we get points. This is one of the systems that they put in place, that we have to partner with a nonprofit in order to move forward with this particular project. Now, say it don't go, then next year is going to be another criteria that we may not be able to meet in the future, but we don't know what that risk is. So we know that we do have to partner with the nonprofit. So how this look, when you look at the scope of things, you have the developer, the nonprofit partnership, and the municipality. The municipality, we have the land. We've already made the investment to your numbers, about $1.3 million to do this. Back when you were the mayor, it was a commitment made that we were going to do senior housing. So we know that we were going to come through some hurdles and some not understanding the full scope of how this really is laid out in design, and that's where we are right now as it relates to donating the land. It's not giving them whole ownership of it, but it's just how the system is designed for IDA.
I get it.
No, I know but I'm just, but I want people to understand, when you say donation of the land, you're thinking you're just giving it to someone, but we still have control over it. This is just to submit the application, and if you read the agreement that's before you, it clearly states that.
It does say that.
It says nothing different than what you have before you. But in order for us to apply for it, if we don't apply for it with the donation of the land, then we can't submit an application. It's just that simple. And we don't have $10 or $15 million just sitting in the bank where we can fund this project ourselves. We have to partner with other partners in order for us to initiate this. And I think Trustee Jones, when he was the mayor, that was his intent, to put partners in place so that we can get the tax increments and the tax credits, so that we are able to be in position to have something like this in our community. And I just encourage any resident or any business partner or anyone that's in this room, do your due diligence and go to other cities and see how they set up senior housing, because that's what I did. I didn't really understand the full scope of what this looked like, but when you start going and talking to other communities that has done senior housing, go to the village of Bellwood, go to Maywood, go to Northlake, and start asking them, go to Melrose Park and see how they senior housing is set up. It's the same process. I've talked to several mayors because I needed to get educated on this process and what that looked like. And what they gave me was a list of nonprofits who they partner with as they went and partnered with developers to initiate their projects. But they still have some control of the land on how they initiate and how the program looked by developing a senior housing unit. It's not cut and dry how you think it should be inside your head. It's just not that cut and dry. It really ain't. But when you start researching and talking to other community partners that have senior housing, you would get a clear understanding of what it really looks like. So, I mean, sometimes you have to do your due diligence and do research to get the full scope of how things really work in government. It's not as cut dry, and I see people shaking their heads. No, it's really not that cut dry when you're talking about getting tax increments from the state or from the county. It's certain things and criteria that they have to put in place, because it's taxpayers' dollars still at the end of the day. Even if we get the tax credits from IDA, it's still taxpayers' money, so they have criteria in place that we have to follow. So we either gonna follow and move forward with the program, Or are we not gonna have a senior housing development and then we gotta come up with a vacant lot and see what we're gonna do with that space? But back when Trustee Jones was the mayor, one thing he made a commitment to this community was to develop senior housing, and that's what we moving forward on, is developing the senior housing development that was committed when he was the mayor.
And the developer needs to have site control. That's a guarantee.
And that's
a given.
right.
So I get that.
So, anything else, Trustee Ely?
Well, I'd like to see this agreement written in a more favorable point of view for the village. Actually, I was thinking the nonprofit partner. I think it's the village is best suited to be that. I want them to have control of the land and build the project, and I can't see vacating Fillmore without a hearing from the people that live there. And what else? The tax credits. That's about it. You know, I'd just like to see Broadview put in a better position, considering the amounts of money we've invested in the property. Others may disagree, but that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Tierney?
I have no further.
Trustee Jones?
As relates to the vacating of Fillmore, I happen to live in the area. I live within blocks of this area, and it's the area where we cul-de-saced off the border of Maywood and along the expressway, where we had a lot of traffic by the grammar school and everything. And there are a handful of people over there that would have a problem with vacating Fillmore at this point. However, I do believe if it's packaged in with the fact that we're doing a senior housing project over there, I think that it'll go over a whole lot better. Because people were waiting on the senior project they were looking for. We had the picture in the vestibule for months, for years, of what we were going to put there, and everybody was looking forward to it. But that's a hearing, and I would be more than happy to sit in a hearing and say whatever we need to say to make these people feel comfortable with the vacating of Fillmore, so we don't have a total uprising in the area, because there are a handful of people there. It's already got some streets blocked off over there, and it's kind of tight. It's almost like a gated community, so to speak, back in that little corner back there. So, John, yeah, but this is something that I think that if properly presented to the people in the area and properly packaged with senior housing development, and that the only way that it would be vacated would be in the event the senior housing is coming. Otherwise, all bets are off, and we'll just leave Fillmore alone if we're not able to get senior housing done there. So I think that would be a conversation to have with the general population over there. But that's all. I just wanted to let you know about the vacating of Fillmore, because it has been discussed before.
And just to Trustee's point, I mean, there would be hearings that would have to take place, public notice before Fillmore would. I mean, so this is a commitment for the village to take the steps that need to be taken. So this agreement isn't, vacating Fillmore. So I mean, that's a whole other process that would have to occur. Again, assuming that the village's application is accepted and we proceed to the next step.
Well, it's my personal opinion is that the conversation about this, and it's obvious that it's been going on for a while, but it should have been ongoing with the trustees involved. I would love to have come in here, seen this on the agenda, and knowing we had a history of answering each other's questions and a quick unanimous vote. But all of this is new. It came up in a hurry, So it's I do have questions and concerns about the residents.
We've had that in here. Hold on. Trustee Tierney?
No.
Trustee Jones?
Trustee Ely, and I know we're stretched for time. Trustee Ely, one thing I will say about what you just said is this. First of all, everything cannot be presented to the trustees as you go through a process, which is why we have staff and why the mayor has staff and why you have committees and people that do these things, and why we have zoning boards of review for these different things. That's their function. And once they make a recommendation, then it'll come to us. Once we get a recommendation from them, then it'll come to us and we can banter about it, discuss it. They're not going to come to us at every step of the process. That would be too tedious, too time consuming, and it would just bog down the process. It just wouldn't work. I mean, I've sat in the chair that she's sitting in. I fully understand it. And her and I don't always agree about how to go about things, but I will say this about the process of getting stuff done. It's not always brought to the trustees for their input. Now, if you want to get involved and you have a committee that's involved with this, I suggest you contact the mayor's office and Dave's office and go have a conversation with them. Hey, what's going on with this? How can I get involved? I've got some ideas or some suggestions, but to expect them to bring stuff to the trustees, that's not going to happen every step of the way. They're not going to come to us until they have a recommendation, which is what we have in front of us. A recommendation and something to actually make a decision upon at this point, because that's our function. Our function is to legislate it, make it into being, but not do the footwork and the groundwork, which was the problem that I had when I was mayor. I had all these trustees that wanted to do my job, and I'm not trying to do your job. That's the whole thing. So, with that being said, I get it. I'm done. I don't have nothing else to say.
Trustee Horn. Trustee Horn. Trustee Horn.
I just want to make a comment. This is for the benefit of the residents. I heard like the oohs and ahs, and it kind of felt like you may be feeling like, you're losing power, you're not having influence, and your money has been invested into a property that you're now just giving away and somebody else has control over. I had that question, and I did speak with the mayor about it, and if you'll notice in the agreement, I believe you may have access to it, but if you don't, I'll be happy to show it to you. There were some terminology changes. One was that it went from a quick deed, which was not in the best interest of the village, to a ground lease, which gives us the ability to influence how things are done with this property. In addition to that, you can look at number 6, and it says right here, donor and developer, donor is the village, agrees to diligently negotiate the terms of the ground lease in good faith. The property is not being given away and somebody else is taking full control over it. The property is being donated with the expectation that the people who are hired by the village to manage the day-to-day operations of the village are going to negotiate, go back and forth until we have an agreement in place that makes sense for us. So it's not just being given away and you're turning your back on it, and then a whole bunch of people we don't even know benefit from something that we put our money into. That's not what's taking place. And I just want to call it out, and it is in writing.
That's it, Trustee Horn?
That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Horn. Trustee Horn.
I'm sorry, what?
We're taking a vote.
Oh, yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Ely.
No.
And Madam President.
Yes.
This passes 4-1. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, item D. Consideration of an application for a business license requested by Evelyn Young, Huff, of Vital Signs Healthcare Training Institute, Inc., doing business as Vital Signs Healthcare Training Institute, Inc., located at 2400 South 24th Avenue for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Is she here?
Thank you. Is Dave, the business license? Oh, that's the school.
Vital Signs Healthcare Training Institute will be located at 2400 24th, which is the Park District. They will be doing vocational certified nurse assistant training.
That was for that. Trustee Ely?
Excuse me. Can I please have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly motioned by Trustee Jones, seconded by Trustee Tierney. Thank you, Madam President.
Trustee Ely?
Because it's a school training facility, any other requirements or hoops they have to jump through?
Well, they have their state license. We've been out there, we've done our inspections as it relates to the being compliant with the village code.
Yeah.
Yes, they are compliant.
Okay, all right. No,
I should say the
nothing else.
building is compliant.
Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
I happen to know Ms. Young. I graduated Ms. Young. I know she's licensed. Matter of fact, she was going to come here a few years ago. I'm glad she's here now. I think it's a great opportunity for us to have a school like this in town. This is a good idea.
It is. Excellent.
That's it.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely.
Yes.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Madam President, this carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Next item E, consideration of an application for a business license requested by Sal A. Bianco III of Ram Chicago, Inc., doing business as Reynolds Advanced Materials, located at 2600 Lexington Street for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Commissioner Upshaw?
I need a motion, please. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Dan.
He can
Go ahead.
present, yeah.
He's gonna explain it.
Move to approve.
Second.
Was that Ely? I couldn't hear it.
So am I speaking or am I waiting?
Let me take this for the record. Motion by Ely, seconded by Trustee Tierney.
Yeah.
All right,
Trustee-
Mr. Upshaw, I apologize.
Trustee Ely?
Oh, no, it's, I defer to Dave. He's gonna tell us, what did they do, Dave?
Okay. Ram Chicago, Reynolds Advanced
He's here.
Materials will be located at 2600 Lexington Street. They are the distributor of room temperature rubbers, plastics, and foams. It's a nationwide distributor, and they use those products for industrial companies, artists, and various types of application.
You know what it is?
They here.
Are they here? Oh, well, there we go.
Okay.
That was funny.
Please, tell us about
Good evening.
My name is Brandon Hinchin. I'm the branch manager there currently now. We're located in Countryside, Illinois. So most of our business is distribution. We do have some retail showroom that we do. It's about 15% of our business. We have about 3 to 5 truckloads, I would say a week, just with common carrier. The rest is just small parcel. Our customers are artists that make big props for theme parks, the haunt industry for haunted houses, and some very unique applications as well. So,
Trustee Ely?
anything hazardous?
I have about 5% of my inventory is hazardous.
What?
Release agents. So they're all mold making, so the aerosol cans are labeled as hazardous.
Okay. All right. Nothing.
But that's it. Otherwise,
Trustee
everything,
Tierney?
all my silicones and urethanes are not.
Trustee Jones?
I have none.
Trustee Hunt? Can we get a roll call, please? Thank
Yes,
you.
you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely.
Yes.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Madam President, this carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Next item is 10, Village Clerk. I have nothing for you this evening. The item after that is item 11, Village President, Mayor Katrina Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for attending our meeting tonight. I do want to elaborate on Tiffany Ingram's ComEd Energy Efficiency Program. I encourage all residents to participate in the energy efficiency program. I actually participate in it, so I'm truly I think I'm a cheerleader for ComEd when it comes to energy efficient. Get your house, have them come in and assess your home for to be in compliance so that you can have some money savings. So you can have some money savings activities going on with you. I've saved about $113 last year just complying with the energy efficiency program. I've upgraded to a thermostat that I can control from my phone, so when the temperatures are high and they send you the alerts, they actually text you the alerts to either turn off your air unit for a period of time, and you actually see real-time energy savings on your cell phone. So I encourage you to download the app and start tracking your energy as it relates to ComEd. NICOR, when we had an energy efficiency meeting, NICOR, they actually are starting to get on board to have the same type of energy efficiency for NICOR as well. So as NICOR get ready to launch what they're doing for energy efficiency, I will make sure that the community is aware, and those that's in the public sector, whether it's the park district or the school boards or the library boards, I encourage you all to reach out to Tiffany so that they can put some good practices in place so that we can start saving and maximizing our taxes as it relates to energy compliance. So with the new municipal building, we've entertained some ComEd grants for funding for that municipal, and we look to do that with the senior housing, and hopefully the park district and the library and the schools all get on board to start saving some money, because that really impacts your bottom line at the end of the day. So with that being said, I just want to say God bless you, and if you have any comments, I'm here for about 5 minutes tonight. I'm here to address any concerns that you may have, but thank you for coming out, and we'll see you on February 19th. One quick reminder, the Finance Committee meeting is this Wednesday at 7 p.m. We encourage you all to come and get the information, and then the Public Works Committee meeting is on February 25th. So we'll have a board meeting between then so we can remind you, but just, stay abreast and stay alert. So thank you and have a good night.
Thank you. At this time, I'll take an entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Jones, seconded by Trustee Tierney. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, at 8:30, this meeting is adjourned.